Hey, what's going on? Zach here, and these are my biggest takeaways from the new Adidas Dame 8 and all the reasons you may or may not want to buy them. Here we go. Now, number one and most exciting to me is the new Bounce Pro midsole, which is actually a nice upgrade from traditional Bounce foam and a good compromise in comparison to Boost. Now, Bounce Pro isn't a new formulation of Bounce per se, it's just two different densities of Bounce foam, which Adidas says will improve performance without a comfort sacrifice. And in my experience with it, I actually found the midsole to have a denser feeling underfoot compared to traditional Bounce. Not really plush, but not uncomfortable by any means. What I did like was how substantial it felt under my foot, which was very comparable to Boost in that category. But for me, the key difference between the Bounce Pro, the Dame 8, and something maybe with Boost or Ultra Boost was that the Dame 8 still felt pretty light when laced up and was pretty easy to get up off the ground with that same snap of original Bounce, because you look at the jump height test, I got a 33 centimeter average jump height in the Dame 8, which is more of a maximalist shoe, which I was actually pretty happy with. Because even though I thought the Dame 8s would feel real bouncy and springy just when you first lace them and are kicking around in them, they really don't. They have more of just a light, quick feeling, but once you actually push them, the shoe really comes to life, which is actually a really fun experience. And with this multiple density midsole foam design, Bounce Pro should perform better for longer than traditional Bounce foam, but I still see Boost and Ultra Boost being the more durable midsole in the long run. Now, the second big takeaway I had from the Dame 8 was its performance characteristics. Because the Dame 8 has a surprisingly tacky feeling outsole with this undulating mid and outsole design. Now, it also has this really interesting central wave tread pattern that goes all the way from the toe to the heel, and then a periphery of lightning bolts, which does kind of look like a gimmick. However, it does grip incredibly well when you're on one side of the shoe or the other, especially going around turns. And the reason I like the wave pattern tread sometimes more than herringbone is because it allows for more fluid movement from one step to the other, whereas herringbone sometimes grabs a little bit too hard on certain court surfaces. So having the wave pattern does allow just for a little bit more natural footwork, and then having those lightning bolts around the periphery does give you a little bit of change in direction, so you're getting multiple points of fixation on the court. So if you do find yourself in an awkward position or off balance, you still do have the more vertical lightning bolts on the side that are going to grab when you're moving side to side, and the wave pattern when you're going front to back, or when you're going in more of a 45-degree angle or some sort of odd angle to the court. But by far my favorite part of the Dame 8 is that undulating mid and outsole, which creates these two giant air channels in the bottom of the shoe, which do give this shoe some sneaky quick speed. And it is really interesting to see how quick these things do pick up speed compared to some other models in its class, like the KD14 or the MB1. And with that outsole design combined with the Bounce Pro midsole foam that deforms in the rear foot but stays stable in the forefoot, the Dames are an ideal shoe for players who are looking for easy push-off power or looking for an ultra stable shoe for hard pivoting and directional changes. So if you're looking for a nice combo of balance and pop, these should at least be on your short list. And this really bore out well during the suicide test. Even on a slick, cold, hard court, I was still gripping that court on turns incredibly well. And I found that these were some of the easiest hoop shoes to get back up to my top speed after rounding a corner. And this was all due to the tread and wider flange on the forefoot, but also the supportive nature of the uppers. Because the uppers on the 8s are some of the most rugged designed I've seen recently, with strong stitched reinforcements and a heel and Achilles lockdown that allows for next to no heel slippage. Plus, these shoes allow for easy side-to-side stability that was really obvious from any position on court and any court surface I was on, even dusty or indoor hardwood or damp outdoor courts. But on the upper durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, the mesh layer did give a bit to the sandpaper, so even though these are incredibly resistant against stress and strain forces, they may give with abrasion if you are a toe dragger or slider. But in contrast to the uppers, if you look at the outsole durability test, about 1 millimeter of damage on a 2 millimeter tread depth and a 5 millimeter tread channel, so these are some of the better shoes out there in my opinion for combined outdoor and indoor use, as long as you don't toe drag. And the most important consideration with the Daymate is their fit, which is also maybe the biggest con of the shoe. Now the 8s are very generous in the toe box and fit narrow, medium, and wide widths, but if you are a narrow foot or have short toes, I would be going down a half size if I were you. These just fit a tad long and boxy, and that really came to life when I was doing the ladder test in these, where they were so easy to push off with and moved in the air well, but because it's so much shoe in the forefoot, they just weren't the most nimble shoes when shuffling or crossing over, so you do have to watch out for that. However, if you wear orthotics or an ankle sprainer, the stability of these is a real asset, and their ability to play well on a variety of surfaces and for a variety of foot types makes these one of my favorite shoes as a foot doctor. Because if I'm seeing patients in my office who are looking for a solid all-around court shoe, it's easy to recommend these because they fit such a wide, no pun intended, foot and athlete profile. And if you're looking for a similar shoe to the Daymate, check out my review of the new Puma MB1 up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you in the next one.